Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes is coming in the latter part of 2025. I would bet my hair on it. That's how confident I am. And I think we finally planted the seeds at Night of Champions. But actually, I truly believe you can go back further than that. Because Michael Cole and Wade Barrett did a great job of overselling this, as they should have done. They talked about legacy. They talked about everything in the past. They talked about the fact that Randy Orton is the teacher and Cody Rhodes has been the student, and how Cody Rhodes would be here if it wasn't for Randy Orton. And that Randy Orton is super proud. He's been saying this in real life interviews too, of what Cody Rhodes did to the industry. He thinks the industry right now is healthier than it has been for a while, and he gives a lot of props to Cody Rhodes. It's so cool too, because you can go back to interviews from 2011, which was before Cody Rhodes was even Stardust, and Randy Orton was saying, I think he will be a future WWE champion. I hope the WWE leans into all of this, but the first real, I think we're close now, because I've been saying this feud is going to be happening for like the last 18 months, was of course the King of the Ring final. I think WWE treated this perfectly. Same with CM Punk versus John Cena. We're going to move on to Cody Rhodes versus John Cena at SummerSlam. Convinced once again, put my hair on it, that Cody Rhodes will win. John Cena will then go back to being a babyface, and that is when Randy Orton is going to come out and lose his damn mind, because of course, I think for now, we can keep things as normal on Smackdown. Like Randy Orton will keep doing his sneering face, and he'll drop some things in there and say to him, you know, I could have punt you, but I hesitated, because everybody in pro wrestling hesitates now. If you have a devastating move, you hesitate. That's just what you do. But then we can calm things down. SummerSlam is like a month away. It's way too close. WWE has way too many big shows at the moment. But it means you can be patient while also knowing, oh, it's just around the corner when we can pull the trigger properly. Because the real tipping point for one Randall Keith Orton should be Cody Rhodes winning the championship. Right now, it doesn't really matter. How many times have we had that in life? You're kind of on a similar level to somebody that's in a similar field to you, and they get something a little bit better. You're like, but it's not the major thing. Maybe like your actors, and it's a cameo in a TV show. It's like, yeah, but it's not like a lead. And then they get a lead in a movie. When they get that lead, like, right now, I hate you. The green-eyed buck has taken me over. And if there's what the word in wrestling, I'd kick you right in the balls and probably punt your head in, and we go from there. So, given that Randy Orton is so desperate to win his 15th championship, I get confused with the numbers. There's way too many. When Cody gets his second one, obviously there's a huge shift there in terms of the actual overall totals, but he's not going to care about that. He can be like, oh my gosh, all those mistakes I made at King of the Ring, taking off Tina the turnbuckle and allowing Cody to push me in there, and then kind of going, he did push me into that. He's the cheat. He's awful. Totally forgetting that it was on his throat to begin with. That's when he can go totally crazy and tell that story, and it's right there. And I think they can have an awesome 4 weeks. Randy Orton can even be like, yeah, go get John Cena, do it for me, and do it for you, but you can see it in his eyes that those voices are talking to him. And this should go on for the majority of 2025. I think we should go through, well, there's a Survivor Series, and there's something else before that. I have no idea. But they should go through the September pay-per-view, the October pay-per-view. If we are doing a War Games, the cool thing that WWE has done over the last few years is kind of take other people's storylines and interweave them with their storylines. We should do that. Probably by then, Randy Orton should be the champion. Then you got December. Then their blow-off feud should be at the Royal Rumble, which is when you head towards Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk, I believe. But let me go through that step by step. Because yes, Randy Orton should win that championship. I think that's one of the reasons why what we did at Night of Champions was so damn cool. Because Randy Orton was acting heel, but he wasn't a heel. And Cody Rhodes was acting like a heel, but he wasn't a heel. So we have now set this up that if you want to cheer Randy Orton, you can. And some people will do. He's a legacy fighter. That's what happens. And lots of people obviously going to cheer Cody Rhodes. I think that's probably why he teased that he may be going heel, and why when he did his post-King of the Ring interview, he said, I understand you love these characters, but I have to get my ball back. Not balls. That completely changes the context of that sentence. I think WWE knows that it's one of those feuds that it could go either way, no matter what Randy Orton does, because Randy Orton is just a cool dude. So even if he starts doing really heelish stuff, because we're bad people, we'd be like, man, Randy, you're the best, and we cheer him. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't hurt Cody, it doesn't hurt Randy Orton. All it does do is it lets the fans have fun, and as professional wrestlers, you should always be prepared for that and know what to do in the moment. And also, apathy is what you don't want. These two guys are going to get crazy reactions. They always do every time they get in the ring. But that's why Randy Orton has to win that championship as well. Cody Rhodes has to win the overall feud, just from who's going to go on to do what, right? I don't think Randy will drop from the main event level. But once again, he's in that crazy territory where he can do wherever he wants. Whereas Cody, even though he has just turned 40 years old, happy birthday to Cody Rhodes, is still on the upward trajectory because, of course, he went to do everything in AEW, has totally changed the game forever. And it's cool, but he has to lose that title to Randy Orton. He just does. And now you're saying, oh, Simon, if Cody Rhodes wins it at SummerSlam, which is, August the 4th or whatever, and then loses it in October, that's only 2 months or 7 weeks. I don't care. I don't care when we did it for Jey Uso. I don't care when we did it for Jacob Fatu. I care a little bit when Julia won it, but because Lita Vega got to do nothing, but Julia's going to be a great champion. But it just tells you never know what's going to happen. And 2025 can be that year. I'm not saying you should do it just for the sake of doing it or do it just because you've always been doing the opposite. But if it does fall in your lap and it does serve the story, let it happen. And the way you get that belt off, again, it ties into Night of Champions, as I keep saying, is Randy Orton. Maybe we can get to match number 2, or you can do it in match number 1. I don't think it matters, but Randy Orton is like, right, last time I did take a breath, I did take a hiccup, and did it serve me? No, it didn't. So now, Mr. Cody Rhodes, not only am I going to punt you in the head, I'm going to punt you in the head again, I'm going to use chairs, I'm going to use Teen of the Turnbuckle, I am going to destroy you, and I'm going to rip that championship from your cold, dead hands. It's either going to turn him into a mega heel, or it's going to make, once again, people go, boo, Cody, that guy, he really got on you, but I don't worry about that. Then, yes, you go through Survivor Series and the Royal Rumble. That's probably when Cody Rhodes should win it back, because it also does tie into the fact that our first big feud of 2026, as far as I'm concerned, could be totally wrong, is going to be CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes. And then you have a similar situation. I cannot see a world where CM Punk turns heel anytime soon. I could be wrong after everything that's happened over the last few weeks. We wait and see. But if it's a very similar vibe to where we are in the middle of 2025, and that rhymes so it must be true, I think you need to have Cody Rhodes in a position where he's got more edge to his character, not Adam Copeland. He went to AEW, and we already started that at Knock, as I'll call it, or the King of the Ring final, which is when, as soon as Randy Orton landed on his back and sold it masterfully, because he is an absolute goat, he worked on it. And the commentator did such a good job, especially Wade Barrett, who I thought had a stellar performance on that evening. You know, he even said, well, that's what Randy Orton would do to him. So if you want to be the King of the Ring, you want to be a champion, it has to be like for like. And it was Randy that made it clear. Cody never said that. Cody barely got to say anything during this build. And then we can take that as it wants. I could sit here as a Cody Rhodes fan and say, excuse me, did you not hear what Wade Barrett said? And you can also take the Batman argument and be like, yes, but shouldn't he not be doing that in order to be like a stand-up figure in the community? And that's when characters and gimmicks, we want to call it that, stories get really interesting because they have that depth. It's also Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. Let them talk about legacy, not just the commentary team. Bring up Ted DiBiase Jr. Not sure he can make an appearance for many reasons, but we can still talk about him. And they're going to have so many stories. Cody has told so many of these just when doing shoot interviews, so get them in there. I think they're going to have some promo segments that feel real because they'll be based in real feelings. I think they'll reveal some stuff while also obviously holding the curtain back because you have to do it. I think it's going to be some great stuff, which is why I think you can elongate it. And it's also why I thought Night of Champions really told you, right, this is what we're doing. You can calm down now. That's when Randy Orton was sneering. Cody Rhodes in the ring saying, Randy Orton, you're a future Hall of Famer and I love you like a brother. And Randy was just like, I'm going to absolutely stab you in your face. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was great. I thought it was really, really interesting. And Randy Orton has to calm down on Smackdown. But he has to calm down in a way where it's like, I'm so calm right now. It's like grabs a table and shakes it. I don't know what he does at SummerSlam. I don't want him to cost Cody Rhodes. I don't want any of that. I want it to be a Bad Blood 1997 situation when Paul Bearer spends months going, your brother is alive. And then we just didn't talk about it for 2 weeks. So Undertaker's like, all right, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I got to deal with Shawn Michaels, all right? I'll get back to you later, Paul Bearer, you stupid pun. And then who arrives? Kane. I remember going, it's got to be Kane. Well, that was Vince McMahon. But you know what I'm saying here. We can take 4 weeks of Randy or doing whatever. Maybe he doesn't even have a SummerSlam match. I understand that sounds like crap because you want to see Randy Orton, but wouldn't it be great after he drops Cody Rhodes with that RKO, probably on the first SmackDown after SummerSlam? I don't think we have to wait. He actually says to him, you know, like, I wasn't even on SummerSlam. And I wasn't on SummerSlam because I didn't win the King of the Ring. I didn't get my number one contendership. I didn't have enough time. You can still put him on there. You don't need that. They have way too much to talk about anyway. Not too much, but enough. But if you wanted to add that in as a secret sliver to really tie into something that is recent, get a bit of recency bias in there, I just think that would fan the flames even greater. And it's almost like, again, Randy Orton not being on SummerSlam is stupid. It's absolutely stupid because he's such a big star. But him not being on it could almost feed the next 6 months of WWE. Somebody said to me, well, it should be 3 months. I don't want no 3-month feud. 3 months goes so fast. I want them to get in the weeds here. I want Randy Orton to pulverize this guy on one of the shows. Maybe you even do it a little bit like if Randy Orton is going to go next level heel, like what Malachi Black, as he would have been at the time, did when he debuted in AEW and he destroyed Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes doesn't need to come back with his Superman hair, but he can do if he wants. I just think it's the best thing to do. And also, we just look at it in an obvious way. Cody Rhodes as a WWE champion needs a big name. It's got to be John Cena-esque. And we just did all of this, the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And what is Randy Orton going to do for the rest of 2025? And now is the time to do it. Again, I've wanted it for WrestleMania after WrestleMania. you don't want to push the ball out too much. And if WWE is sort of hinting at it as much as they are, or as much as they have, on that PLE, I don't think you want to go away from it too much now. They have done it in the past, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. We overcook and we over-egg the pudding. You don't need to do it here. They have both set this up wonderfully. Randy Orton, especially in the build-up and the things he was saying, and Cody Rhodes on the night itself, making it clear, listen, you're my boy, but I do whatever it takes. Like I say, I've got to get that ball back. And you can just let the fans choose. Choose who you want. It can be like a top trump game or whatever you want. And it doesn't mean you have to reframe the story. Because if Randy Orton is a bad guy, he's getting cheers. So technically, if you're going to write down on a piece of paper, he's a babyface. Keep doing what you're doing because you don't want to ruin it. Just let Cody have some attitude, to use some proper WWE language, and almost be like, listen, he doesn't have to insult the fans. Like, this is the other thing. People are always like, heels have to insult the fans. That's become a trope, especially in WWE. You turn heel, he goes, it was you, the fans. Cody doesn't need to say that. If people start cheering for Randy, Cody can be like, this is on me. He's so good at doing that stuff, like taking responsibility. He actually went too far after WrestleMania 39, and for months he didn't mention the bloodline had screwed him over. He's just like, well, when you lose, you lose. No, Cody, you've got to cheating out of this. But he can lead into that side and just focus on Randy Orton. Let's say that he's a pseudo heel because he's getting booed. Don't even worry about it. Acknowledge the fans, of course, because people like that, and it kind of fans the flames. But say, no, Randy, it's not about them right now. It's about you and what you did to me. He absolutely has to cheat to win the belt. I can't believe you did that. Again, you were my teacher, and you did this for me and that for me, but you always had this side. Let me tell you that story, this story. And then Randy Orton can talk about Stardust, whatever he wants to do. But deeper than that as well. I keep using that word, but it's got to be done. But it should be the feud that WWE hangs its hat on for 2025. I understand it's probably going to have something to do with John Cena and Seth Rollins, probably a Braun Breaker in there as well. And I do believe it'll be CM Punk versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam too, which is a big match. Say what you will about it, especially if there's a stipulation. But if Cody Rhodes is carrying the quote-unquote proper world championship, I don't mean that disparagingly to the world heavyweight title, which they've done a great job with. This is the lineage, and it's usually the way WWE leans. I think you want to go as big time as you possibly can, and that means time, and that means weight, and that means allowing these two to have proper chats and coming up with some really smart ideas. The 3 matches should be on paper now. Maybe Cody wins one, then Randy wins the title, and then Cody wins again. That's a little bit different, which would be cool. Maybe Randy wins the first one, and Cody has that belt for a month. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Whatever you want to do is totally fine. But the Royal Rumble should be where we're going. And maybe the Survivor Series doesn't even count as one of those 3 matches. If it is a War Games, maybe that's a secret 4th one. Because, again, you can tell loads of stories in that. But I think it's exciting. I think it could be Feud of the Year territory because they're both so good at what they do. And just the small seeds they plant on Night of Champions, because you don't have to do it. Like, even though it was quite, look what we're going to do, you could have it as a one-off. Randy Orton's upset. He wasn't able to win the King of the Ring for the 2nd time. He kind of screwed himself. He hadn't exposed that turnbuckle. Again, you can just do it 2 different ways. He can be ambiguous, not ambiguous, the word I'm looking for, nice about it, because I'm not smart enough, and be like, it was my fault, I shouldn't have done it. We can be a right asshole about it and say, well, yeah, I did do that, but you took advantage. What the flub are you doing? That's not cool. And you can get annoyed at Randy Orton there, because he's obviously missing an important truth, but that's what heels do. And you don't just have to go 100% heel from nowhere. I know it's great when someone does a proper heel turn, but you can continue to build this, and Randy Orton gets a little bit more dark, he gets a little bit more evil. He just says one word to Cody that's horrible, then 2 weeks later it's 2 words, then it's a whole sentence. The whole time he's selling this stuff with his face and doing his over-the-top facial expressions. Then eventually he drops RKO on Cody Rhodes, and away we go. And it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be great, and I think that's what we should do. And I think it sets up Cody Rhodes to the CM Punk thing. I think it just does. To jump from Randy on into CM Punk, then maybe you have to go back to Seth Rollins after that. I don't know. I doubt it. But it kind of feels like Cody has then wrapped up his babyface feuds, even though it would be babyface versus CM Punk. And then maybe that's when you turn Cody heel coming out of WrestleMania 42. He seems desperate for it these days. I think there's loads more mileage in the tank. But it should happen eventually. I don't think anything should ever be off the table. I've really enjoyed the John Cena heel run. Turns out I'm by myself. Totally cool. Understand your criticisms. But even with all the merchandise and everything that he was doing business-wise, it felt like to me that another... I mean, they did try to do it with Roman Reigns, I suppose, but that didn't work. But really what they should have done is they should have established Bryan Danielson in the John Cena position to a lesser extent to allow John Cena to have that proper heel run. I think you always want to do it both sides. Right? I just don't know what you think. And it doesn't always work. The Steve Austin thing was a terrible idea because it didn't work business-wise, because so many people had tuned into the Attitude Era to see Steve Austin and cheer him, then all of a sudden he wanted to be booed, and they were like, no, we're not going to do that, and in fact we're just not going to watch wrestling altogether. So I could be wrong about the John Cena thing, but we're not living in that world. WWE now operates as WWE, so maybe John Cena is a little bit of an outlier. It's not the same for Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes could go heel, and you've got a ton of other baby faces ready to step into that position. You just have to time it right, and maybe that will be coming out of WrestleMania 42, but I really hope WWE does this. I think the way they've teased it and been patient with it is awesome. Again, it's Randy Orton. He can win a title. It's not like it's Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles. I love AJ Styles, and I think at the moment he's probably underutilized. But when we did that match in Backlash, if it had been AJ Styles to win that title, I would have been cool with it, but I think a greater majority, especially at the time, would have been like, what are we doing, man? This doesn't make any sense. Randy Orton, I think mostly because his legacy is just WWE, whereas AJ Styles is more of a game changer on the independent scene before he brought that into these other companies. That's a different video for a different day. But yeah, Randy Orton's been there since day dot in terms of his career. He can win a championship from Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes doesn't get hurt. And I also look at it like this. When we get that feud, I don't want Cody Rhodes to never lose a championship to Randy. Randy has to have it around his waist, because then he can go, I told you. Why didn't I get to number 15? Because I was being too nice. I was being too goody two-shoes. Too much hesitation. As soon as I did try to murder this man, I am now the champion. Everybody is happy. And we go home and have tea and crumpets. So I'm very excited about it. I think it could be feud of the year. I don't like saying that because you shouldn't compare these things, because comparison is the thief of joy. But it should be on your list if you like making those lists at the end of the year where you go, man, it should be Punk versus Drew. I mean, it'll be less time than that, but that's okay. Not everything has to be a year. But that's the levels I'm talking about here. Sort of deep, exciting, unbelievable. Can't believe he said that. Can't believe he said that. Tapping into the relationship they have, which is better than Drew and CM Punk. I don't think they send each other Christmas cards, whereas Randy and Cody have definitely been talking even when Cody left the company. And I think the WWE, like I say, did a tremendous job at that pay-per-view. Even though it was mostly about it was mostly about Cody winning the King of the Ring and everything we did with Punk and Cena. And Randy was almost left to just do his little thing until you capitalize on it and until you jump on it. And it's one of the reasons I want to tune into Smackdown. And usually if you have done a pay-per-view, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for the television. You've probably done something right. I've been harping on about this, honestly, for a long old time. I just love the fact, because Randy Orton could have, WWE, Randy Orton would have run back in the ring. Okay, he's gone heel now. But we don't need that. We got time. Again, it's the 30th of June as I'm recording this. I think SummerSlam is the first week of August, maybe the second. But you can leave it for 6 weeks. And Randy Orton can just, like I say, breadcrumb, tease. I'm in your bed with the 3 foxes or whatever the wolves were in Little Red Riding Hood, whatever that bizarre story is. And then when it does happen, you feel it, right? You get this all the time. Well, it was so obvious. It must have been rubbish. I don't think so. I think if you know the episode of Smackdown is coming and Randy Orton is going to drop the RKO, it means that WWE has done a good job and you can get excited about it. There's a really weird noise at my window there. I got a little bit scared, but it's fine. Nothing's about to crash through the building. However, here is the most important thing. I have a comment section down there. Let me know what you think about Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. What do you want to see? What do you not want to see? Also, like the video, share the video, subscribe, click the video on the screen, which is my review of Night Champions. Always appreciate the support. If you'd like to go outside of this crazy box, you can do so at patreon.com/Simon316. Watch-alongs, $5, and all that kind of stuff. Or you can throw $1 in there, but $5 gets you access to content. I'd rather you had the content. GorillaMind.com/Simon. You can Simon get 10% off his ships worldwide. The best supplements, as far as I'm concerned. If you're in the gym, try them out. Simon J. Miller on something, TikTok, weird videos. Simon Miller on Cameo, Simon Miller 316, embarrassing on social media, Big Cartel, and ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller for merchandise. Thank you to everyone who came for Progress yesterday. I didn't win, but I didn't lose, and I'm kind of in a bit of a predicament. Got a mark on my face somewhere, because wrestling is real, damn it. Don't tell me otherwise. Have a great day, my friends. If you're in the UK, drink lots of water. It's 40 degrees. Take care. See you soon.